Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This episode is for the Civil Procedure Cold Call preparation. And the case we are studying today is the Class 23, Case 2, Otherson versus Department of Justice and INS. The case name is Otherson versus Department of Justice, INS. The court is United States Court of Appeals for the DC Circuit. And judges are Edwards, McGowan, and McKinnon. The holding for this case is the issue preclusion was granted by the court. It's also called collateral estoppel. Procedural posture. An Otherson, an employee of the Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, was criminally prosecuted for misconduct in office. And in the first proceeding, he was convicted of 2 misdemeanor counts for violating the civil rights of individuals while performing his duties as an INS officer. His conviction was affirmed on appeal, and U.S. Supreme Court denied certiorari, making the conviction final. And following his conviction, the INS fired him. And Otherson appealed his removal to the MSPB, arguing that he should be allowed to relitigate the facts surrounding his alleged misconduct. And the MSPB rejected this argument, holding that the issue preclusion barred his argument from the previous proceeding. And Otherson petitioned for review of the MSPB decision to DC Circuit Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeals denied his petition, affirming the application of issue preclusion. The facts are Otherson was employed as an officer with INS, and he used excessive force to treat the aliens. And the government charged him with criminal violations. And in the lawsuit 1, he was found guilty of 2 misdemeanors. And the court found the government's witness credible, and conviction was upheld. The Supreme Court denied review when he appealed. And afterward, INS fired him, and he appealed to the MSPB, and MSPB denied the appeal because of the issue preclusion, and he submitted his appeal to the DC Circuit Appellate Court, and DC Circuit affirmed the MSPB's decision. So those are the facts. And here we're using the system to explain the reasoning of the court. Here the court is to determine whether the issue preclusion exists, whether it can bar, there is an appropriate issue preclusion which can bar the previous issue. And the court used a 3-element system. They are L, D, and I. I use 3 symbols to represent litigated, determined, and incentive. The first L represents that the issue must have been actually litigated, and D is for that the issue must have been actually and necessarily determined by the court of competent jurisdiction in the first trial, and I is for the party to be bound did not lack an incentive to litigate in the first trial in comparison to the second trial. For the first element, the court evaluate the letter D. So that's for whether the issue has been actually and necessarily determined by the court of competent jurisdiction in the first trial. And the court found that all the facts were determined on the same issue. And also the court found the government's witness credible. That means the previous court has necessarily decided the verdict based on the full examination of the witness's credibility. So the element of D is satisfied. For the litigated, the court found that the plaintiff simply stipulated that the government's witnesses would testify in the second trial as they had the first. Otherson contested that the allegation against him through his attorney's cross-examination, and the parties left it to the trial judge to evaluate the witnesses' testimony and determine whether the government established its allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. So here we have full evidence that in the previous court the issue has been fully litigated, and the plaintiff Otherson has the opportunity to present to testify, and also his attorney can cross-examine and to against the opposing party's witnesses. So it's fully litigated. There's no evidence that it is lacking fully litigated. And then the last element is incentive. And the court found that he obviously thought the charge is a serious one, for he pursued his appeal on the legality of his conviction all the way to the Supreme Court. Had Otherson insisted on presenting his full factual defenses to the allegation, he presumably would have faced felony charges rather than misdemeanors. That means he has incentive to litigate his case. Before, it was even more harsh. His charge was even more harsh. He had opportunity to lessen the charge from felony into misdemeanor, and he has full incentive to justify that. That means the court could not find any evidence that he's lacking incentive. So the third element is also met. Because all the three elements were met, issue preclusion is appropriate. The court denied Otherson's petition for review. So lastly, the takeaways from this case are: once a factual issue has been actually litigated, necessarily determined, and decided by a competent court, it cannot be relitigated in a later proceeding between the same parties or the same previous. This prevents duplicate litigation and ensures finality and efficiency in the legal system. That's everything for this case. If you like this way to prepare for your cold call, please join me in the next episode. See you.